Welcome back. I hope you had a great fall break, 3rd through 4th grade. We are going to start with our sniglet, as usual. So this says fanards, or fanards. Fanards is the dust that accumulates on the edges of ceiling fan blades. Have you ever noticed that? I don't know if any of you are required to dust for your mother around the house. I hope you are a help and do chores. But fans actually collect lots of dust. And they don't just collect on top of the fan blades, but on the edges, which makes sense, I guess, because they're blowing into the dust. And so they collect dust on the edges. So you can call those fanards. I thought that was very interesting. You can use that today. Mom, do you need me to clean the fanards off the fan? The Shakespeare quotation is "A Heart of Gold" from Henry V by Shakespeare. A heart of gold, maybe that's a phrase you've heard so often you didn't even know it was really even a phrase. The meaning has come, we use it today to mean somebody who does things with good motives. When Shakespeare, or even today, when we talk about somebody's heart, oftentimes we don't literally mean their heart that beats. We mean their inner person, what their motives are. And when we talk about gold, we don't mean that someone literally has a heart made out of gold, but that rather gold is something that is pure and good and valuable. And so the idea is that somebody's innermost, their motives, their desires, what drives them, it is pure, it is good, it's valuable. So that's kind of the idea behind this phrase, a heart of gold. I don't think they'd be alive if they had a literal heart of gold. Then we're going to use another verse from James in place of our Proverbs this week, like we did the last time we had class. Because James, the book of James, is like the book of the New Testament Proverbs. It has lots of wisdom. James 3:9 says, "With it we blessed our God and Father, and with it we curse men, who have been made in the similitude of God." There's at least one really big word here. But what is it? If you remember from last time, it was our tongue. With our tongue, we bless and we curse. We bless and with it we curse. In other words, I did a positive and a negative sign. We as Christians can both do good things and bad things with our tongue. We can say good things and encourage people, build them up. We can also tear people down, curse people, be mean with our tongue. And he's saying we should not do that. That's a reality. Nobody's perfect with their tongue, but it shouldn't be that way. And he says and the reason we shouldn't curse men, the reason we shouldn't be mean, demean, and tear down people is because they're made in the similitude of God. Similitude has the idea of, it's kind of like the image. Simil, you see that word, that part of the word? Simil, it's like the word similar or simile. It has the idea of being like or looking like or being the same. In other words, people were made in the image of God. Just like you are made in the image, the person over there that you don't like is also made in the image of God. So your words should honor them because they are made in the image of God. So it's interesting because he helps tell us why it's important that our words that come out of our mouths should bless people, should build them up. Okay, now we're going to go into our assignment. Now, really, our video today is not going to be very long because I want you to have more time to do your homework. So you've had 2 weeks of writing a fable and a myth, which I hope you enjoyed. I really love reading myths and fables, and I think it's a fun assignment. But we're going to move into a couple weeks of typing them up in the computer and then editing them. So this week, I gave you some specific instructions. Parents, if you have an older student, you'll know that a lot of these fall under the MLA format. But students, listen carefully. One of the most important things about writing any paper for anyone, even all the way up to college, is that you have to learn to take your professors, your teachers' instructions and follow them. If you can do that, you're going to be doing better than at least half of your fellow students. Maybe even higher. I'm totally making up the percentage, but I can tell you from experience that most students do not pay careful attention to instructions. They will skip one or two, or some students even just skip the ones they don't like. Now, I'm telling you, if you learn to follow instructions now, you will go far and you will get good grades. So here are my instructions for this assignment. All you have to do is follow my instructions and you will get all of the points possible. Okay, so you might even need to pause the video and write down these instructions. And I encourage you to do that so you can get 100% on this assignment. Pause and write this down. Okay, so I'm going to color code this. I want to make this really fun. The first instruction is to type it up. Well, I should say this is the first instruction. Type out your myth and your fable, both of them, each on a separate piece of paper or a separate document. Okay? Now, you need to make sure it's 12-point font. If you don't know what that means, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can ask your parent. Two, you can ask your parent if there's a video on YouTube you could watch about typing up a paper. Okay? There's some really great tutorial videos, Mom and Dad, about basic Microsoft typing. Second, you get to choose your own font. Now, it needs to be legible. Don't choose anything that has fancy curly cues or that's hard to read or has big bubble letters. Choose something that's plain, but that can be fun too. Choose a font, your favorite font, but make sure it's readable. I guess I should have said legible. Readable would probably be better. Okay, then write the first sentence, indent the first sentence of each paragraph. Now, if you don't know how to do that, you can ask Mom and Dad, or you can use the tab key. If you look on your keyboard, it says tab. That's exactly what it says, and you touch it, and the whole sentence will scoot over just the right amount. Then you're going to check all the first words of the sentences and make sure each first letter is capitalized. After you've typed it, you're also going to go back and check for any misspelled words. And I gave you a hint. One of the cool things about typing it up in Google Drive or Word, whatever you're using, is that if you misspell a word, it will usually underline it in this squiggly red color. You want me to show you how? It even does it in this program, and this isn't even Word, but it's a pretty universal feature. Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to say, hello, my name. I'm going to say name. Oh, see that? It caught my mistake. It should say name. All right, so pretty cool how that works. That will be a helpful hint for you. Then next, I want you to check all the punctuation. Check for all punctuation to be correct. So each sentence needs an ending punctuation. All right, so if you look up here, I even have some that are missing end punctuation. Can you find it? Let's see. There's one sentence that use the tab key, does not have an ending punctuation. Here's another sentence. So I would have 2 things to correct there if this were my paper. Of course, this isn't in a paragraph, this is a list, but yours, you would have to go back and check just like I am. And so then I give your parents a tip on how many points to give you. So I say every piece of instruction that they do not follow is -1 out of 100. Why 100? Because you as a student could have several lowercase first words or several missed punctuation marks at the end of the sentences. So I'm only going to take off, if I were grading your student's paper, I would only take off 1 point for each failed instruction or error, misspelled word, capitalization, punctuation. Okay, so students, take your time. If I were you, I would take one day and type out my myth. And then I would take another day and type out my fable. And then I would take the 3rd day and I'd go through this list, check all of these things off. And then the 4th day, I'd go through this list with the fable. And then the last day, I would check both of them to make sure there's nothing left that I have forgotten, okay? This is not a long video, but this is a tough assignment. And parents, judge, you can decide if you want to stretch this into 2 weeks. This may be a 2-week assignment for your student, and that's fine. Just use this for 2 weeks and jump back in the next lesson the following week. So I hope you enjoy this. It's really fun to type this up. And parents, if you're not ready to get them comfortable on the computer, you can jump into the next lesson entirely and just have them write this out and follow an adapted list. But I like to do this for my students because down the line it's really important that they are getting comfortable in these types of programs, especially when it comes to preparing them for high school and college paper writing, because part of it is following the correct format. So I hope you enjoy this. I'll see you next week.